little different, and I'm actually going to answer some of your questions. I pulled up my Instagram here. I'm just going to go through a couple questions and hopefully there's some value here. Someone asked me if there was an age limit or if you're ever too old to get into consulting. I mean, technically, like I've never seen anyone at a consulting firm that wasn't like 60, older than 60 or 65. I think at that age, they literally like kick you out and throw you a big retirement party and basically tell you to, buy a boat and float off into the sunset. But I will say that if you're trying to get into consulting, the top 2 entry points for that career are either coming out of your undergraduate program or coming out of a graduate school program. If you're asking this video on Instagram, you're probably old enough to get a job in consulting, but if you're not an undergraduate or if you're not in grad school, you probably need to start networking and just make some friends, either alumni, people you know, people you meet at events that already work at these firms that can vouch for you. Somebody else said that they're starting a new job as a trainee lawyer in September. Congratulations. How can I make the most of this internship? I'm actually running a whole community this summer on how to make the most of an internship, so I hope you're in there. But regardless, I would say, the top things are networking. The first time you get there, like downloading that company directory and sort of charting your path through that organization. So if there's a specific part of the law or a specific area of that firm you're interested in, you need to be having conversations with those people that work in that practice already and sort of building up a network of people that can eventually vouch for you at the end of that summer or when it's time to make a decision and basically say, hey, I've worked with this person, I can speak to the quality of their work and they'd be a good fit for whatever you want to do within that organization. Other than that, I mean, if you can get to the office, I'd get to the office. You want to dress well. I've got some links up in the description of this video to some work outfits for the summer specifically that I really like. And just in general, know that most internships, you're not going to be overburdened with work, but that is a good thing. And you want to take complete advantage of the extra time you're going to have because you're not going to be saddled down with a bunch of work to do to, again, make those relationships, study and learn just what that firm does. My advice to interns or anyone, honestly, is to stay out of your lane and to go outside of the specific area of the company you were assigned and just meet other people doing other interesting things within that industry and within that business. For a couple weeks or a couple months, however long you're going to have this internship, your email address is going to say that firm's name instead of like Gmail or your name or your university, and that's really powerful. It gives you a level of clout that typically as a student or just as a regular person you wouldn't have, so I would use it. And again, congratulations on your internship. Building out this framework of like, obviously the table stakes, especially for the people in this program, is like everyone here is intelligent, everyone here is accomplished, everyone in here can do the work that's being asked of them. But do you know how that work is being, do you know how your brand is being perceived within the organization? Are you exposing yourself to the right things inside of that organization? And then how do you attach yourself to and identify the areas that your CEO and other leaders are saying, this is where going to grow, and how do you attach yourself to the growth centers of that company? I was telling a story of like one of my most successful videos was where I said, if you want a seat at the table, sometimes you have to plan the dinner. I took the responsibility as, a big, fancy consultant in my suit where I would schedule the team dinners, right? Because nobody else, it was above everyone else, right? But by doing that, I got access literally to a buffet of executives, both on the client side and for the firm I worked for. And we had conversations, right? And so I made a lot of relationships that way. Someone asked how you overcome imposter syndrome at work. Specifically, they're in a situation, it seems, they work with people with 8+ years of experience and they only have 1 year. I mean, look, the short, kind of like glib answer to this is the longer you work, the longer you realize that people are faking it and people aren't as competent as they may seem. So don't get scared out by that. And the slightly longer answer, though, is, in my belief, if you're not training at the edge of your skills, in other words, if you're not a little bit scared, you're probably playing it too small. And so if you're in a job where you feel like you've got 100% of 100% of things and situations under control, again, that's probably not what you should be doing if you want to grow and if you want to expand your skill set. And so it's okay to go to work with a little bit of, I don't want to say fear, but a little bit of anxiety. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's not the way to talk about this, but I mean, it's worked for me. I mean, I think that, you grow by basically stacking chips on your plate and figuring out, can I handle this? Can I do this, right? Because 9 out of 10 times you're gonna surprise yourself. And that one time that you may strike out, you may make a mistake, you may have to start over in some way in your life and in your career, you leave that situation with a lesson too. And so that's how I handle imposter syndrome. Also, I mean, it's worth to say that if you do only have 1 year of experience, you're still early. And so it's okay if you're earlier in your career that you feel you haven't done a lot, because honestly you haven't. And so just understand that as you start to build momentum, that confidence will come. It's okay to be 1 year or a few years into one specific job or career path and not feel completely locked down and confident in everything that you do. Someone asked, where do I see myself in 10 years? Which is definitely a loaded question. But I think, broadly speaking, I'd put it into a couple buckets. In 10 years, that'll be 2034, which is crazy to think about. By that time, I mean, as a father, right, Isaiah will be 10 years old. And so I think by that time, I mean, we'll see if we're still in New York, but wherever we are, hopefully I'm a homeowner, hopefully I've been able to impart some level of wisdom or some lessons into Isaiah's life. Hopefully I've learned some as well. Honestly, I'm still learning, what my approach is going to be with this whole new journey of fatherhood. Work-wise, it's even less clear. Honestly, I'm at this weird stage in my career where I sort of see myself branching off into a couple different paths. Content has gone really well for me, and I'm now making what would basically equate to a full-time salary just posting content and working with brands and doing some speaking, which is really, really cool. But I know for me, I've had the opportunity to talk to a couple people who have sort of in the last year gone full-time with content creation. And what they all say, when it's funny, especially the people that started out in the corporate environment, is honestly they get bored. They miss sort of that level of progression or difficulty or just connectedness to like a mission that you get when you're working a decent corporate job. And so I think for me, if I do decide to go full-time with content, it's doing it in a way where I still feel attached to like a mission, or there has to be like a business on top of that, or I feel like just posting these videos on social media is great, and obviously that would be enough to provide the lifestyle I think that I want, but I just think I want more than that, like in my heart and in my mind. And honestly, I'm trying to figure out a way to do this in a way that serves you all better. Like I want to put myself in a position where I can serve you more, where I can do more coaching, where I can do more workshops, where I can work with companies. In 10 years, I want to be able to like tell someone what I do for work, and the first thing they say is like, one, what the hell is that? What does that even mean? And two, like, I would never want to do that. Like, I want to build a life that is so specific to me and who I am and what lights me up inside and what brings me joy and what gets me up out of bed in the morning, that saying it out loud to anyone else seems like crazy or delusional or ridiculous, but to me it literally like feeds my soul. But the short answer is, directionally, I want to be a good father, an intentional husband. The one thing that I know for a fact that I'll be doing in 10 years is exactly what I'm doing now. Shared my story with wonderful strangers and friends from all across the world. Somebody also asked, any advice for someone that wants to transition into consulting after engineering? Engineers make great consultants. You know, they're very structured thinkers. You know, they're able to, most of them are able to put a business hat on and understand those constraints and those difficulties. I said it earlier, but like there are two main big fear points into a career in consulting. After you leave your undergraduate career university, or after you leave your graduate or MBA level education, those are the main entry points. So anything beyond that, like if you're an experienced hire, if you're just, you know, somebody with some work experience that wants to make the transition, it's possible, but you are honestly playing with your leg tied behind you if you do not have a network, if you do not know someone inside of that firm. You have to start networking. You have to get on LinkedIn and see, okay, when you got your engineering degree, what friends, what alumni of that college went on to work at a consulting firm. Reach out to them, have a coffee chat with them, understand what their needs are and what open roles they have. Go to, sneak into, lie, get into the events, right? I did the same thing when I was in college. Get into a networking event where there are other consultants there. Start to get your name known. People have to know you to pick up your resume and your application out of the pile. So Joey actually asked, what is something I'm struggling with right now? And honestly, I feel like this question is coming at the perfect time because I'm recording this on Sunday. It's Father's Day. And obviously I'm a first-time father. You know, this is the first Father's Day I've celebrated as an actual dad. But it's caused me to think about my own relationship with my own dad. My dad's no longer with us. He passed a couple years ago. And unfortunately, the last conversation we had was not an easy one. It wasn't full of love. We had a huge argument, you know, and I sort of stormed out of his house. I got in my car, I drove off. And that was the last sort of conversation, the last interaction we had. And the next thing I knew, my sister called me and, you know, told me he wasn't here anymore. So I'm struggling a little bit just thinking about that, all the things we didn't get to say to each other. And honestly, it's just so tough to say. I feel like I've just got more empathy for him these days. You know, I feel like I've been really hard on him because in a lot of ways he wasn't the father that I necessarily would have wanted, but I think he was trying. I think there were moments where he really tried and he did the best he could. And honestly, as a dad myself, all 2.5 weeks in, let's go, I'm starting to see what this actually looks like. And so I don't know how to succinctly say this, but one thing I'm struggling with is just my perspective on my own father and that whole experience. And, you know, if I was in his shoes, what decisions would I have made?